I learned something, and now I can't sleep. This country buys oil from another country that hates it, and it still pays for that oil with the currency of the very country being hated. Not gold, not its own currency, dollars. Even American enemies pay each other in dollars. How? How did one piece of green paper take over the entire planet without firing a single shot? Let's start with the simple questions. Why does the whole world trade in dollars instead of using its own money? Here's what I understand. After the Big Four, about 8 years ago, countries got together and agreed, let the dollars be the main currency. We'll tie it to gold, so everyone feels safe. But America said, you know what? Forget the gold. We're untying the dollar from it. The dollar is now worth a dollar simply because we say so. Wait, you just canceled the very rule everyone agreed to this system for. And everyone was like, yeah, okay, no problem. Carry on. Why? Because by that point, the entire planet had already built a trade, its debts, and a saving around the dollars, and stopping was physically more painful than continuing. It's like if an entire village built their houses around one tree, and then one day the tree said, by the way, I'm not a tree anymore. And everyone just went, well, okay, the houses are already here. Then think it was stranger. America brought the countries that had oil and said, sell your oil only for dollars, and in return we'll protect you with military force. And the country said, deal. And from that moment on, in Germany need oil, and oil is sold only in dollars. Germany fears to get dollars before it can buy anything at all. In other words, the entire world is forced to hold the resort on someone else's currency, simply to buy the fuel that keeps their cars running. And the more countries do this, the greater the demand for dollars becomes, the stronger the dollar gets, and the cheaper it becomes for Americans to borrow money from the rest of the world. Because everyone already wants to keep dollars in reserve anyway. And now comes the world's part. So hold on tight. American debt is larger than the entire economies of some countries combined. Normally, if you owe too much money, people stop lending you more, right? But with America, the opposite happens. The more you borrow, the more countries want to lend it even more. Why? Because the entire world is already holding its saving in dollars. And if the dollar suddenly collapses, it wouldn't just hurt American, it would hurt everyone holding dollars. In other words, potentially the entire planet. So we end up with a strange trap. The whole world is afraid of the dollar, yet at the same time everyone is forced to protect it because they are already too deeply invested in the system. It's like one person borrowing money from the entire village, and then the village realizes, if you let him go bankrupt, we'll all go bankrupt with him, so we'll better lend him even more money and hope for the best. Oh my god, I'm shocked. Yeah, I'm shocked. Damn. Okay, now listen carefully, because this actually works for three simple reasons. Not because of some uneven conspiracy. The first reason, trust. After the Big War, America was the only major economy that hadn't been destroyed, so people trusted its currency more than alternatives. And trust in finance works like gravity. The more there is one place, the more strongly it pulls everyone else toward it. The second reason, the petrodollar. The regiment I mentioned earlier is like one of the planet's most important resources, primarily in a single currency, created constant demand for that currency. And that demand doesn't simply disappear, because changing the habits of global trade isn't a decision one country can make on its own. It would require hundreds of countries to change at the same time. And getting hundreds of countries to agree on anything at the same time is most impossible. The third reason, inertia and fear. Even countries that don't like Americans' power continue to hold dollars, because abandoning them too quickly could hurt those countries more than it would hurt America. It's like pulling a single brick out of the foundation of a house that you are living in yourself. So the dollar doesn't rule the world because it's magical. It rules because the world has built too much around it. And right now, thinking the building part will hurt more than continuing to live inside it. This is simply the longest and most successful case of a nation in the history of your civilization. And you know what's the funnest part? I have a single dollar in my pocket right now. And somehow, I feel like I'm part of the system.